This ending has more holes in it than Swiss cheese. Now, how did we get here? Well, we got here because Forrest Fenn said that if you follow the 9 clues, you could have a treasure chest filled with gold, rubies, diamonds, a dragon coat bracelet, Chinese jade figures, etc. That's what he said. So we were all chasing this chest full of gold that we could take if we solved the poem. So what happened was, now let's look at this. 7 people died chasing this treasure chest. And what we've got is a sham ending. And we've got the family covering things up and making duplicitous statements that don't make any sense. So Michael Sexton died in March of 2020. And Forrest could not have a lawsuit related to Michael Sexton. So they needed a legal shield for the estate for all the lawsuits that were coming. So Jack Stooge was signed up to be a foil for the estate. So in November of 2022, the chest was sold to an LLC by Jack Stooge, supposedly. Okay. And so what we need to look at here is some of the discrepancies that are glaring, obvious discrepancies that are going on. For example, Jack says that he headed for Santa Fe on June 6th of 2020. He says as soon as he recovered the treasure chest, that same day he headed for Santa Fe. But Carl Summers and Zoe say in their affidavit on June 11th of 2020, Forrest gifted the treasure chest and its contents to Jack Stooge. We're talking about, so Jack says on the June 6th, he headed for Santa Fe. They are saying 5 days later. So Jack recovers the treasure chest on the 5th or the 6th of June of 2020, according to the reports. Immediately he drives for Santa Fe, but he doesn't meet Forrest in Carl Summers' office until June 11th. That's the statement that Zoe and Carl are giving. Now, none of this is making sense. It doesn't mesh. It doesn't make sense. The gap is like 6 days later, 5 or 6 days later. It doesn't make any sense. So if you look at these affidavits, both Carl's and Zoe's affidavit, they are both trying to convince you that Forrest gave Jack title to the gold. They're trying to convince you that Forrest gave Jack title to the gold. Now Zoe says in hers that Forrest committed to giving Jack the treasure chest. So people who understand the poem know that I give you title to the gold. A title is a person's name. That is your name. Granny, that would be my title. Okay? So if I sign my name on something, I've given you title. There is no signature on any documents for Forrest Fenn saying that he gave Jack title. Here's what Zoe says. After Forrest passed away, I personally conducted an inventory of the treasure chest and its contents. I honored Forrest's commitment to Jack Stooge. In other words, she's saying that Forrest made a verbal commitment to Jack Stooge in the lawyer's office. There was nothing in writing. Her and Carl tried to convince you that Jack was gifted the treasure chest by Forrest. She says Forrest gifted the treasure chest and its contents to Jack Stooge, and the estate of Forrest Burt Fenn filed a gift tax return reporting the gift. Now, there's no proof of this. There's no proof he gifted it to Jack. There's nothing in writing proving that. We have emails from Jack. If you look at the emails, Jack tells Forrest, you can write up a gift receipt, you can do this, you can do that. But there's no indication that Forrest did any of those things. In fact, Forrest died on September 7th of 2020 by suicide. Now, some of you may quibble with that is a fact. He died 1 month before Peggy, who was on hospice, and we know this is a fact. If he wanted to give Jack title to the gold and give Jack that treasure chest, he would have signed his name on a document saying that he was giving Jack title. He did not do any of those things. In fact, he committed suicide to prove that Zoe and Shiloh were the ones giving Jack title, and Jack, he's not the solver of the poem. He knows nothing about the poem. He's an imposter. If you will remember, it was Shiloh that came out after Forrest died and said that Jack is the finder/solver of the poem. It was Shiloh that did that. Forrest never put his name on anything. He never acknowledged Jack. He chose to commit suicide before Jack came public. It was all planned and pre-orchestrated. Jack is not the finder or solver. Now, there are glaring holes in these affidavits. For example, Zoe says, I personally gave the frog and necklace to Jack Stoof's representative. She says a picture is attached. And if you look at the picture that she shows is not the frog and necklace. It's a picture of the frog. The frog and necklace and the frog are separate items. They're not the same item. Now, with regard to the Capro show, the most popular Forrest Fenn show, Capro is a scam. She's a fraud. Cynthia Meacham is a scam. She's a fraud. She has an interest in this ending because she's part of Netflix. She's part of this ending. She's part of Netflix. So she has an interest in the ending. She has an interest in carrying water for the family. Capro and Cynthia are frauds. For example, Capro says that Jack exchanged the bracelet for the frog. Well, Jack never had the bracelet to begin with. Jack says that he took photographs of the treasure chest exactly as he found it. And we've seen those photographs. There's no bracelet in the chest of those photographs. Forrest said the bracelet was the last thing he put in the chest. So if the last thing Forrest put in the chest before he closed the lid was the bracelet, why isn't the bracelet in the photographs that Jack took? Because Jack never had the bracelet to begin with. Shiloh did, because Shiloh was involved with the ending. It's that simple, folks. And the other thing that Capro is doing is she's conveniently ignoring certain things that I can point out, and here's one of them. A press release came out on July 1st of 2020. A press release of a cowboy on one knee. This press release is still available on the internet. And the cowboy says, I come to you with empty hands. I do not have the treasure. The cowboy represents Jack Stoof. Whoever took that press release out knew everything about the ending. We know this. We know this because the cowboy says, I ask for your patience. And he spells patience, P-A-T-I-E-N-T-S, as in medical patience. The only person that would know something like that would be somebody familiar with Jack Stoof, who was considered going to school to be a medical doctor, and so they had full knowledge of Jack Stoof. The cowboy also talks about a forthcoming book that will come out. And we know what that book is called. It's called Chasing the Thrill by Daniel Barbarisi. Who would have known this stuff in a press release in July of 2020 if people were not involved with this ending that knew they were going to present Jack Stoof as being the finder after Forrest Fenn passed away?